And there is no urgent need for acceleration, no more urgent need for acceleration than when it comes to the future of our fragile planet. While much of the world's activity froze during lockdowns and shutdowns, the planet continued to get dangerously hotter. And we see it all around us. From houses evacuated due to the glacier collapse on the Mont Blanc, to fires burning through Oregon, to crops destroyed in Romania by the most severe droughts in decades. But we also saw nature coming back into our lives. We longed for green spaces and clean air, for our mental health and our physical well-being. We know change is needed, and we also know it is possible. The European Green Deal is our blueprint to make that transformation. At the heart of it is our mission to become the first climate-neutral continent in 2050. But we will not get there with the status quo. We need to go faster, and we need to do things better. We looked in depth in every sector to see how fast we could go and how to do it in a responsible, evidence-based way. We held a wide public consultation and conducted an extensive impact assessment. And on this basis, the European Commission is proposing to increase the 2030 targets for emission reduction to at least 55%. I recognize that this increase from 40 to 55 is too much for some and not enough for others. But our impact assessment clearly shows that our economy and industry can manage this, and they want it. Just yesterday, 170 business leaders and investors, from SMEs to some of the world's biggest companies, wrote to me calling on Europe to set a target at least at 55%. Our impact assessment clearly shows that meeting this target would put the European Union firmly on track for climate neutrality by 2050 and for meeting our Paris Agreement obligations. And if others follow our lead, the world will be able to keep warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. I'm fully aware that many of our partners are far away from that, but we have to lead. And I will come back to the carbon border adjustment mechanism later. But for us, the 2030 target is ambitious, it's achievable, and it is beneficial for Europe. We can do it. And we have already shown that we can do it. While emissions dropped 25% since 1990, our economy grew more than 60%. The difference is now that we now have the technology, we have way more expertise, and we have the investment. And we are already embarking towards a circular economy with carbon neutral production. We want to be leading in the world on that. We have more young people pushing for change. We have more proof that what is good for the climate is good for business and is good for us all. And we have a solemn promise to leave no one behind in this transformation. With our Just Transition Fund, we will support the regions that have a bigger and more costly change to make. We have it all. Now it's our responsibility to implement it and to make it happen. And I want you at my side, and I invite you for this endeavour, because we only can do it together. This is our mission on the European level, honourable members. Meeting this new target will reduce our energy import dependency, will create millions of extra jobs, and more than half air pollution. To get there, we have to start now. By next summer, we will revise all of our climate and energy legislation to make it fit for 55. We will enhance emission trading, boost renewable energy, improve energy efficiency, reform energy taxation. But the mission of the European Green Deal involves much more than cutting emissions. This is important. But it is about making systemic modernization across our economy, society and industry. It is about building a stronger world to live in. Our current levels of consumption of raw material, energy, water, food and land use is not sustainable. We need to change how we treat nature, how we produce and consume, how we live and work, eat and heat, travel and transport. So we will tackle everything from hazardous chemicals to deforestation to pollution. This is a plan for true recovery. It is an investment plan for Europe. And this is where Next Generation EU will make a real difference. Firstly, 37% of Next Generation EU will be spent directly on our European Green Deal objectives. And I will ensure that it also takes green financing to the next level. We are world leaders in green finance, and we are the largest issuer of green bonds worldwide. We are leading the way in developing a reliable EU green bond standard. And I can announce today that we will set a target of 30% of Next Generation EU's 750 billion euros to be raised through green bonds. Secondly, Next Generation EU should invest in lighthouse European projects with the biggest impact: hydrogen, renovation, and 1 million electric charging points. And allow me to explain how this could work. 2 weeks ago in Sweden, a unique fossil-free steel pilot began test operations. It will replace coal with hydrogen to produce clean steel. This shows the potential of hydrogen to support our industry with a clean license to operate. I want Next Generation EU to create new European hydrogen valleys, to modernize our industries, to power our vehicles, and to bring new life to our rural areas. The second example are the buildings we live and work in. Our buildings generate more than 40% of our emissions. They need to become less wasteful, less expensive, and more sustainable. And we know that the construction sector can even be turned from a carbon source into a carbon sink if organic building materials like wood and smart technologies like AI are being used. So I want Next Generation EU to kickstart a European renovation wave and make our union a leader in the circular economy. But this is not just an environmental or economic project. It needs to be a new cultural project for Europe. Every movement has its own look and feel. And we need to give our systemic change its own distinct aesthetics to match style with sustainability. And this is why we will set up a new European Bauhaus, a co-creation space where architects, artists, students, engineers, designers work together to make that happen. This is Next Generation EU. This is shaping the world we want to live in. A world served by an economy that cuts emission, boosts competitiveness, reduces energy poverty, creates rewarding jobs and improves quality of life. A world where we use digital technologies to build a healthier, a greener society. And this can only be achieved if we all do it together. And I will insist that recovery plans don't just bring us out of the crisis, but also help us propel Europe forward in the world of tomorrow.